Alright, so this is going to be kind of a long video just to be able to demonstrate everything, and there's a lot of windows, so just hang on and we'll get through it. So the first thing I want to show is it's a kind of a high-level overview of everything I've made. So this is pretty much everything from last time, if you can include the in-coupler and out-coupler from the last assignment. Everything in here is just like model, telepointers, glass panes, all that stuff. I've just kind of put it all in one big box, so not to clutter anything. But what I've implemented works via an in-coupler and an out-coupler, meaning any property changes will get sent to the out-coupler because it's a listener of all the properties. And the out-coupler has what I like to call a general sender, so it'll send its messages to a general sender when it wants to relay them or send them to whoever. And the general sender can send it to one of three people, either the relay sender, the session sender, or the p2p sender. So the way everything starts off is we'll issue a general sender connect call, which will just call a connect call within the session sender, and that will register itself with the session server. Once a client registers with the session server, it'll get back a list of all connected other clients for P2P and a relay server if it's connected, so that it'll either be a null value or the actual relay server. After a client connects to the session server as well, the session server will then tell everyone else that this client has joined, and they'll do that via the session receiver, and the session receiver will handle setting up everything, for instance, like how the P2P sender can talk to the new clients and everything like that. So the general sender can also choose between relay mode and P2P mode based on a button I've created. So all you have to do is just click the button and you're either in P2P mode or you're in relay mode. And so if you're in relay mode, all your messages will then be directed to the relay server, and the relay server will then tell everyone else them. And the way it does that is it does so via the relay server object. I forgot to mention the relay server, the relay receiver object. The relay server knows about them because whenever a client connects to the session server, it, besides telling all the other clients who's there, it also lets the relay server know of all the clients that are there via the relay receiver object. So if we're in P2P mode, the P2P sender will then send all the messages to everyone else's P2P receiver. So all the receivers just direct their incoming messages to the in-coupler, which then directs it to the model and everything, and I feel like it's pretty understandable from here. And so we've got this down. We can go ahead and look at everything. So let's go ahead and get the session server up. Alright, session server's up. Here's its log window and its tracer. Now we'll connect a relay server. So we can go ahead and see that the relay server has connected to the session server, which is nice. So now if we go ahead and start a client up, let's get Alice going. Again, a lot of windows, so bear with me. I have to arrange them. Alright. So we can see that Alice first joined the session server, then Alice joined the relay server, and at this point the relay server, I'm sorry, after Alice knows she's connected to the relay server. She's going to try to ask it for any messages that I may have missed. And this is just basic latecomer support with the assumption that the relay server is there. So since she received the connected members list and relay server from the session server when she connected, she knows that the relay server is not null, and since it's not null, she can then ask it for all the latecomer messages, which she does, and she gets them. So you'll notice that it says it's from the messages she received from in her relay receiver are from the session server, but these originated, that's where they originated from, which is the session server. Because once Alice connected to the session server then generated two messages, one for the message history to tell any other clients that Alice joined, and another message to tell them that they should update their status table for Alice and her current status. So the session server went ahead and sent those messages to the relay server in case another client joins and needs latecomer support. Their message history and status table will get those messages, and they'll then know of them there. Alright, so let's go ahead and get another client in. Let's get Bob. Did say Bob. Yeah. Where are you, Bob? Oh, just slow. Alright. There's Bob. Alright, so Bob connected to this session server, and upon doing that, it also connected to the relay server. Move this up here. I'm just going to go ahead and minimize these since these are the same as last time. And here's Bob's tracer. So after Bob connected, he then received, all the latecomer messages. Let's see. Yes. So Alice also received messages, this time from the actual session server directly, instead of from the relay server. And this is because she's not the first client. So the first client won't receive, the first client in general, like the whole connection, won't receive messages directly from the session server because the session server doesn't send messages to people who just connected. So, for instance, Bob did not receive messages from the session server either, only the relay server. But they're both up to par with all the messages. Yeah, so that's pretty much the basic logging functions of who connects when and how. And now we'll go ahead and move on to mode changes and specific message paths. So we can see Bob's in relay mode, and so is Alice. And so, if Bob says, "Hey Alice," the relay server gets that message from Bob, and so does Alice. Well, Alice gets it from the relay server, so you can see that in her relay receiver she received it from Bob. And so Alice can then respond, "Hey Bob," that goes through the relay server and to Bob. So Bob gets it from his relay receiver. And accordingly, they both send it through the relay senders because they're in relay mode. So then if we switch Alice to P2P mode, and she'll say, "Hey Bob," in P2P, she sends it via her P2P sender. The relay server doesn't know anything of it, and Bob received it via his P2P receiver. Now Bob can also, reply to Alice again in relay mode. This time it'll go through his relay sender. The relay server will hear of it, and Alice will get through her relay receiver. Now if we switch Bob over to P2P mode as well, let me say, hey Alice, and p2p. It'll go through his p2p sender. The relay server won't know anything of it, and Alice will get it through her p2p receiver. So that's the basic mode changes and message paths. So the next thing just to show is I guess delays. And so we'll go ahead and get one more client up, which will be Claire. Things seem to be running a little bit slow, so I'm going to close this virtual machine real quick. So let's just close this real quick. Sorry for the delay. Delay. That's the topic we're on. Anyway. Alright, so while that's shutting down, just shut down. Let's see if we can continue. I really want this closed. Come on, shut down. There we go. Alright. Hopefully things will be much smoother. Nice. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get Claire up. Not much window space. Just save on window space. I'm going to close some of these traceable things. And hers. I'm going to go ahead and close the relay server, the session server, since we know how they work. Alright, so let's get Claire down here, and let's turn it to p2p mode. Alright, so to show delays real quick, the way I've implemented things are I can give a client's name and a time in milliseconds, and what will that will do, for instance, if I put down here like Bob and I don't know, a 2-second delay. The way this will work is any messages that Bob sends, when it goes from Bob to Claire, once Claire receives it, she'll wait 2 seconds before actually acknowledging it, which will simulate a delay. So if I say, hey Claire, Alice will go ahead and get it, but it'll take 2 seconds for Claire to get it. So what we can then do is we can just, keep that delay for Bob, put about a 10-second delay in for Alice, and from let's say over here, give them about a 5-second or 3-second delay, I guess. So now, any messages from Alice to Bob will take about 3 seconds, and from Alice to Claire will take about 10, and from Bob to Claire about 3. So I believe we should be able to do almost the exact example that we did in class. So if Alice says the woods, Bob will see it and he'll say our lovely, in which case now Claire sees our lovely before the woods. So that's a direct result of P2P mode with delay, and which could happen, I guess, over a network if depending how far people are in stream conditions. So now just some interesting things to note. I guess as the latecomer support, if there's a relay receiver, they'll get it from the relay receiver. And they'll get it in order, which is nice. The only problem is how to deal with it when there is no relay receiver. So what I've implemented is if there's no relay receiver, once a client joins, since it'll see that it's null, it can then ask around its peers to see who's got the most messages, and then just grab all those messages from that one peer. So if we kill Claire, they'll all know about it. And if we find the relay server and we tell it bye-bye, so now the session server knows it's gone, and so that's also updated all the clients. Quick thing to note is let's go ahead and start the relay receiver back up real quick. Relay server. Something interesting is if the relay server is there and all the clients are in relay mode, when the relay server dies, they'll go ahead and switch over to P2P mode. And that's just the session server knows that the relay server's left, and it's told all the clients that the relay server's left, so it will switch them over automatically to P2P so they can continue talking. So now the question becomes with latecomer support, what will happen with Claire? So once Claire joins, she'll notice there's no relay server, so she'll go around and ask all her peers who's got the most messages and can you please give me them all. So we can go ahead and see that. So now she's got all the messages. The only problem is they're not guaranteed to be in any special order or even correct order. And you can see the the sequence numbers for the messages are out of order and there's duplicates. And that's just one of the problems currently with the P2P mode latecomer support. But at least she gets all the messages and she knows who's there and their statuses, though their statuses could be out of order if she received the messages out of order. But they can all continue to talk and change statuses, so it's all nice and it works pretty well. And yeah, I guess they've all got graceful exit if that's another feature specifically. So sorry for such a long video and the slowness. I've only got so much processing power on my laptop. Till next time.